Well, folks, we got a interesting mix of video here because, look, primarily we're going to be talking about two different franchises and stuff that deals with Nintendo Switch 2 in regards to various games with those franchises, but a couple other stories mixed in. Look, guys, it's a little interesting as we have a mix of like rumors and previews and stuff today. Nothing specifically about like a Nintendo Direct. I'm getting some clarifications from Nash Weedle on a few things that we might go over in a future video or tonight on the Nintendo Byte podcast when we talk about the Direct. But beyond that, I just want to go over these stories today because these are fascinating. And one of these stories we might actually have an answer to literally tomorrow. So, man, this is going to be a lot of fun today. And before we dive in, I just want to remind you, if this is your first time visiting the channel, we are on our way to 200,000 subscribers. And it all starts by getting our next 1,000, aka getting to 162,000 subscribers. A little less than 700 subscribers to go to do that. So if you're enjoying the content, I would appreciate if you would like it. And if you really like this video a lot, hyping the video up obviously helps the channel out. Now, before we dive into our first story, I got to tell you about today's sponsor. Well, folks, this video is proudly sponsored by Lexar and their 1 terabyte micro SD Express. My Lord, I've been using this since the Nintendo Switch 2 came out, and man, oh man, it has been just a relief to know I have a full terabyte of extra storage on my system to put any number of games I want from Switch 2 and even the Switch 1 due to backwards compatibility. Remember, you do need microSD Express for Nintendo Switch 2. And if you happen to get a new one for the holidays or was gifted to you, upcoming birthdays, events, hey, maybe you're thinking about gifting it to somebody else, packaging in a 1 terabyte seems like a great deal. And here's the thing. They offer these at Costco. You can actually even buy them online through their website. I paid full price for this bad boy and have zero regrets. In fact, I know it's going to last for the lifetime of my platform. So if you guys are looking to expand your storage, they have other sizes besides the 1 terabyte. This is just the one I like to push because, hey, games are getting bigger in size, and as such, we need bigger storage. All right, folks. Go ahead and check out through the link down in the description. And I want to thank Lexar yet again for sponsoring this video. All right, folks, let's go ahead and get to our first story. And this one deals with Subnautica. Subnautica and Below Zero are coming to Switch 2 on February 17th. If you already own Subnautica or Below Zero on Switch, the Switch 2 upgrade pack will be free. This is what we like to see. Not just having the Switch 2 edition, but if you own the original, free updates. This is the way. That's something I wish Nintendo would do, but whatever. This is what some third parties are doing, some indie games are doing. I'm really happy for this. Subnautica is a decent game, not one that I've spent any time playing, so I can't speak from personal experience, just basing it off reviews and stuff I've seen online. But I'm just really happy to see that happen. And now we actually are going to dive right into one of our big stories today. And this one deals with a franchise from Sony that has never been on a Nintendo platform before, which, of course, as we know, only MLB The Show and that Lego Horizon game have actually come from Sony to a Nintendo platform. Well, we're going to be talking about God of War. And we actually have like 3 different sources on this, and one of them might surprise you. So first off, we're going to be talking about Nash Weedle. Again, we've gone over why we listed him in the past, but he's calling this a rumor and not a leak express. So it seems to suggest that maybe he's only got one source on this. I don't really know. But here's what he said. Rumor, this year, a new God of War could arrive in the form of a spin-off, which would be a Metroidvania and would come to Switch 2. After the notable commercial fiasco of Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, do you think Sony will dare take that step? Now, if this was all that was out there, I probably would not have covered this story, mostly because when I cover Nash Weedle stuff, it's usually when he's claiming he's leaking things. Now, when he's claiming that he's really unsure about this information, it probably, again, is from a news source or unverified. But then, well, Nate the Hate spoke up about it, and he heard something similar. So this person asked him, hey, do you know something about the Metroidvania God of War that's rumor for Switch 2? He said, what rumor are you citing? Then he links the Nash Weedle one. And Nate the Hate comes in here and says, all I can say is this. When talk of the 2D God of War first started last year, I heard whispers that it was being considered for a multi-platform release. Whether that consideration evolved into an active plan, I don't know. And he goes on to mention how Lego Horizon was actually pretty poor performing overall on all platforms. Now, what I find interesting here, of course, is that we have somebody straight up just saying it is happening and that they've heard it independently of Nash Weedle. Who is that somebody? Well, it's none other than, believe it or not, RGT85. What the hell? On RGT85's out here leaking stuff? This is wild. So I'm just going to let RGT speak for himself because obviously this is the entire topic of this video. And we're just kind of going to the section where he mentions that he can add additional information. So here we go.
Well, but it's not just going to be a PlayStation 5 console game. It's also coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, we have to look at the source of this rumor, and you are going to want to crucify me after what I said yesterday about this source, because this is one of the people that's talking about it out in the open, and that is Nash Weedle. Now, RGT, you said that Nash Weedle's reputation is on the line with the Nintendo Direct next week, and yes, it completely is. But according to Nash Weedle, and I can explain this, according to Nash Weedle, there is a chance of this coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. Nate the Hate has commented on this as well. Nate did a follow-up saying basically he had heard rumblings when the game was initially in development that it could be a multi-platform game, but he hasn't heard anything since. Now, obviously, Nate the Hate is, probably one of the most, if not the most accurate leakers out there. So there's at least a very small chance that this was discussed earlier in the development of the game, and maybe that's what Nash Weedle was clinging on to. But where things get very interesting is I've actually heard this, not from Nate, not from anyone you would think I would hear this from, and it was a couple of weeks ago. And this individual was telling me, like, yeah, this is actually coming to Switch 2. It's going to be a PS5 and Switch 2 and PC game. And this person has no reason to lie to me or anything or fabricate something. And so once I kind of factor that in and factor what Nate the Hate said about this being something that was at least discussed initially, I honestly think there's a good chance that this is going to happen. And I know people will be like, well, why would they do this? Why would Sony put a God of War game on a Nintendo platform? That doesn't make any sense. And to that, I will ask you, why would Sony put a Lego Horizon game on the Nintendo Switch?
All right, so we're going to stop there. If you want to see what else RGT85 has to say and his reasons and the whole reason he's bringing up Lego Horizon, you can go ahead and watch his video. We'll have it linked down below. But kind of wild that not only is Nash Weedle one of the first people to publicly say it's coming to Switch 2, then you have obviously Nate the Hate saying, hey, he heard rumblings last year that it would be multi-platform. So, okay, that was already enough for us to not dismiss what Nash Weedle said. Now RGT is saying literally a couple of weeks ago, he was told by somebody reliable that has no reason to lie to him that this game is coming to PlayStation 5, Switch 2, and PC. So 3 different people, including somebody who pretty much never seems to know anything outside of like talking to Nate the Hate, has his own source on this. So hey guys, this very well could be revealed in tomorrow's hour-long state of play, and you have to wonder, will they dare put that Switch 2 logo in the actual presentation? I don't know if they will. It could be just something announced after the fact. Or maybe it's not announced at all, and it's saved for a Nintendo Direct, where at the Nintendo Direct, they make a big deal out of it coming to the Switch 2. Either way, folks, I think this is a really fascinating story. Lots of twists and turns. You guys let me know what you think about this down below. We haven't seen the game, so I don't even know if I should be excited. I like the idea and concept of a side-scrolling Metroidvania style, action-packed God of War game, but what? It's just, there's just a lot there. And until I see it, I don't know what to think. That said, we do have some Pokemon rumors out there. We're going to go over the rumors first. Yes, we do have previews for Pokopia, but we'll get to that in a moment. We got some rumors out there, and the rumors are for some of my favorite games of all time. We're talking about Gen 1 yet again, and old Prime over here might be able to even add to this a little bit, just a smidge. So first off, they will return soon. This comes from Riddler Coup, a well-known Pokemon-specific leaker. Been right on a bunch of stuff over time, wrong on some things, but they will return soon. Got to remember, it is the 30th anniversary of the original generation of Pokemon, FireRed and LeafGreen being these sort of like pseudo-remake remasters of those original versions. Some of the most beloved versions of Gen 1. Some people like those even more than Let's Go, but they haven't been around since the Game Boy Advance. They've never really come back in any meaningful way. And saying they will return soon instantly made people go, oh, well, could they be putting this on NSO? Could they finally be bringing mainline Pokemon games to NSO? Or would they release them as individual games that you could purchase on the eShop? Or are they remastering them again? Are they remastering the remaster? Like, there's a lot out there. Well, Central Leaks has the update on this. We'll actually tell you who the original source is for this. They say further information from a different leaker. These are going to be eShop paid releases and not part of Nintendo Switch Online. Oh, and it will have home compatibility, which is a big thing people wanted to know is, hey, okay, these are individually released. Can I import and export Pokemon on home? You can. And it comes from this guy, not even naming me. And this person said, don't you constantly change your name because you don't want the attention? If not, we can gladly credit you. So he's basically saying, hey, the reason we didn't name you is that you've been talking about how you don't like the attention, but now they want the attention. So you can kind of see like there's kind of a catch-22 there. I don't know the history with this user and how reliable they are. And so, you would look at this and go, okay, if you don't know the history of that person, you don't know if they're reliable, well, where's the context, Nate? Well, here's the thing. I don't need context for that user because of what this next person said. Oh, hey, that's me. Wait a second, that's Nintendo Prime. Whoa. So there's Pokemon rumors today. I saw some people saying they know about them and it's not NSO. All we'll say is I heard something very similar and I'll leave it at that. That's right. RGT ain't the only one with the scoops today. No, Nintendo Prime over here, me. I have been contacted by someone very reliable and been informed that these are not going to be NSO games. And that we're going to leave it at that. I'm not going to say anything else. So that obviously leaves it open to what that other rumor said. Hey, eShop releases, are they going to be released in the original form? How much are they going to cost? Are they going to be up-resed? Are they going to be turned into widescreen format? Are they going to be remastered a little bit? Maybe they touched up the graphics a little bit to make it, maybe less pixelated, or maybe they updated the pixelation stuff. Maybe it's HD 2D for all we know. I have no idea, obviously, about any of that, but I do suspect, as I put in the tweet, that these are going to be revealed on the 27th because it makes a lot of sense. 30th anniversary is being pumped up. They did a Super Bowl commercial for the 30th anniversary. Everything's pointing to the Pokemon Presents on the 27th, where we expect to see Gen 10, but we could also be seeing that these games, maybe even as of that day, become available on the eShop. So really fascinating. There's also some stuff out there about Pokemon, the Gale of Darkness stuff. There's rumors out there. I don't understand why rumors exist for that game. We already know it's coming because Nintendo already announced that it's coming to GameCube NSO. And all the rumor is that it's coming exclusively to Switch 2 for NSO soon. Okay, well, I think most of us kind of figured that since that game was already announced and GameCube NSO is literally only on Switch 2, so it being Switch 2 only shouldn't be a shocker. And Pokemon Day is coming up. I think we all kind of figured it would probably release on Pokemon Day. So I'm not even going to show the rumor because I just feel like it's pretty damn obvious. I could have just came out and said that and it would have been true because it's something we already know about. We don't need a rumor for something that we already know. And they don't give it like a definitive time on when it's coming out. So there's no additions to that rumor. But what we do have some additions to is this next story. And again, we're sticking with Pokemon, right? A couple Pokemon stories here because Pokopia got its previews dropped today. And according to those that played it, the game is very good. Now, it still doesn't look like it appeals to me, but all I really care about with games is not if they appeal to me per se, but that they can become the best versions of themselves for the audience they are targeting, which is obviously going to be the cozy audience in this case. And hey, this is a $70 game. It's also on a game key card. Nintendo is publishing it, so that feels weird. What are we going to do about that? I think what we will do is put up some footage right now. This one comes from Nintendo Life. They talk about some stuff in there, and we're not really going to go over most of what they say other than that they really enjoy the game. The tutorial isn't actually too shabby, but we have a story over at IGN that I want to read, and it says Pokemon Pokopia will take 20 to 40 hours to beat on average, and there's more after the credits, and this comes from the director. So Pokemon's upcoming Dragon Quest builders like Sandbox Pokopia isn't just a Pokemon-themed block building playground. It has a main story that some are suggesting has some post-apocalyptic vibes to it, and according to the game's director, it could take anywhere from 20 to 40 hours to finish, with more to do after the credits. This comes from our own interview with Takuto Egawa. I cannot say Ed Edagawa, dude, I literally cannot say this guy's name. Anyways, the chief director of Pokemon Pokopia, we asked about the approximate length of the game, and this was his response. So for this game, the main motivation for the game is typically not to go to the end. The whole concept is to create the world with Pokemon and live with Pokemon. However, as an average, it'll be about 20 to 40 hours, but it would really depend on how the player plays the game. There's more things to experience after the end credits roll, so it just depends on what you mean by content. But I believe that players are encouraged to and will be motivated to continue to play the game and say, hey, this is a fairly open-ended response. It isn't a surprise given what we know of Pokopia. It is a sandboxy sim where you, a Ditto, transform into a human shape and hang out on an initially deserted island and get to work building habitats to convince more Pokemon friends to come live with you. It's very similar to Dragon Quest Builders, which makes sense as the developer Omega Force also helped out on Dragon Quest Builders 2. In addition to the story component, we can imagine that this will have some fairly open-ended gameplay as to what you build, where, and how, and its multiplayer components will likely give the game some longevity as well. As a result, it makes sense the players would have a wide range of completion times based on how much they dug into the building mechanics, both during and after the campaign. And again, people went hands-on with this. And one thing I'll note, I'll share one thing that Nintendo Life said. They compared it not just being like a Dragon Quest Builders, which isn't surprising given that it's like the developer that makes Dragon Quest Builders, but they also said it also is kind of like crossed over with Viva Pinata. Who remembers that game? One of the last truly excellent games out of Rare LTD. And they published that when they were with Microsoft. So yeah, I think that this is all just really fascinating. And I think it builds a picture that Pokopia, they're very confident in this game and they do think it's really good. Yes, I still think it's a little too expensive. I still don't like that it's a game key card and I feel like it should be on a physical cartridge, but I can't knock the game for what it is. Well, it's not the kind of game I like to play. Like, fun fact, I don't actually enjoy Dragon Quest Builders. I don't like games like Minecraft, and I'm already kind of so-so on Pokemon, so the appeal of this was already very, very low for me. That doesn't mean it can't be a really good game for those that it is targeting. So it might not be targeting me, but maybe it's targeting you. And I do got this like feeling, and we talked about this on the podcast when this game was revealed last year. This game could potentially sell a crap load. This was like that wild card game I've talked about, how like we talk about how there's no upcoming announced system sellers for Switch 2. Pokopia is a Switch 2 exclusive. You can't play it anywhere else. And I felt like this was kind of one of those sneaky games. Like, this game could actually be a system seller in March, and we're underselling the importance of it because maybe this is a 10, 15, 20 million plus selling game, and I just don't understand the market for it, which is completely fair because I don't. I mean, this is in the same sort of market that Animal Crossing did like 49, 50 million copies of, and I like that really opened my eyes to just how big the cozy game market is. And I guess when I have friends like Nintendo Talk coming on the show, should have realized just how big the cozy game market is. So yeah, this could legitimately be a system seller, even if it's not one for me. But they don't need to sell me on Switch 2 because I was already sold on it. That's why I own one. Anyways, folks, that's going to do it. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am, the Thunder Over Jams from Nintendo Prime. We'll be back, obviously, tomorrow with another video. But really, we're going to have a podcast tonight. You guys should tune in. We have Sky Sword Alyssa coming on, Mr. Robot Joe, Andres Restarts coming back. And we're going to be talking about some Zelda. We're going to be talking about the potential of the Direct next week, if not to the next month, and 3D Mario's rolling it and our wants and desires for 3D Mario. And beyond all of that, folks, I'm just really excited to get the gang back together, guys. Nintendo by Podcast. Check it out tonight live at 8 p.m. Central right here at Nintendo Prime.